Welcome back to Sunrise. Now, elections are key pillars of democracy and have become the commonly accepted means of legitimizing government. Once elections are flawed, it is an invitation to violence in the state, which may snowball into political instability. As they approach the 2019 elections in Nigeria, youth who are majorly used by politicians with premonition that the election is not in their favor and are deployed to cause all forms of mayhem, ballot snatching, and other forms of violence. In Nigeria, of note is the post-election 2011 election violence that was like a major matter. But even before that, in 2015, there were reports of skirmishes here and there, and in the various pockets of elections we've had reports, minor reports of issues here and there. So the question is, how do we curb election violence? How do we end it? Is it possible to get the youth, who are majorly the tools used by the politicians to cause these issues, is it possible to do is it a mindset rewiring?
Yeah.
Mindset
shift.
Okay, so, well, to help us look at all of this, we have Ugo Otonye, who's a legal practitioner in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Also, here is Abiodun Bamidele, a human capital development expert. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having
And joining us from London is Benson Onyekachi, a leadership coach. Thank you for joining us, Benson. All right. So let me start with you, Mr. Otonye.
Yes.
From what you've seen in our political space and in our socio-economic space as well, what do you think about election violence?
First of all, I think it's the perception of the electoral process as a whole. I think that's what brings about the violence associated with the electoral processes, because in this part of the world, I think we tend to think that is a do or die, affair. It's supposed to be, the exercise of your civic, responsibility. But the way we have been, wired over the years because of maybe the previous military government we've had. So the youth tend to think that, it is a do or die affair, something that, we must win at all costs. But no.
I need you to clarify that. Is it the youths who think, or the politicians who are using them?
Yes.
Who give them the idea?
Yes, if you recall, I said the way we've been wired over the years. So the leadership of this country, I said this last time I came, I said, I think for me, personally, I think it's a deliberate attempt. Because, by the time you keep them uneducated, keep them impoverished, so the general populace would tend towards your bidding. So when they tell you to go, do acts that are against the law to ensure that they win election at all costs, then you find out that, they sway these youths and this populace towards electoral violence.
Yeah, Mr. Bamidele, is it not time for our youth to begin to understand that they are just being used and they are dispensable, and refuse? Because I have seen some cartoons and stuff on social media where they say, if somebody asks you to go commit a political misdemeanor, ask him if his son is going to be the one leading you. If not, then don't let yourself be used. Is it not time for the youth to begin to get wake up and smell the coffee?
Really the low-hanging fruit. You're a legal practitioner. In the last election, if I remember correctly, the former INEC chairman, I think after the 2011 elections, the former INEC chairman, Tahir Ojega, talked about 80,000 cases of electoral violence, or thereabouts. I'm not too sure I got that figure right. But he talked about that, and some people were arrested, and that was where it ended. I mean, in that election, we got some pictures, eyewitness pictures sent to us. Somebody right now who is in the House of Representatives was caught with permanent voters cards, about 65 permanent voters cards. I still have that picture somewhere, but our conclusions won't come back from this break. Please don't go away. Welcome back. We're still talking about curbing electoral violence. So, Mr. Otunye, I was talking about people who are, for instance, in the last election, I talked about some that were arrested, cases of violence, electoral violence. And then I talked about a member of the House of Representatives now who was caught. I mean, we got some pictures. And one of the pictures we got was a member of the House of Representatives caught with PVCs. He was sitting on the floor, caught with PVCs. Now, he is in the House. He's earning from the nation's keep. So, where there is no punishment, it looks as if there's no punishment for just do that.
Electoral offenses.
Yes, I think there is no political will. You know, he said something about the mindset thing. You know, I think we should start from there because really, if there's a change of mindset, and the key thing there is voter education. Now, the government might not do this because, I mean, they benefit from, you know, what's going on. They probably will not do it. So we are left with the media, we're left with civil society groups, we're left with NGOs, and then he mentioned families. So I think that we should start from there. Okay, for example, in 2011, was it 2011? Yes, when they had the violence and all that.
In Kano.
Yes.
In the northern part.
A committee was set up, headed by Mohammed Uwais, to investigate the violence and all that during the election, and they submitted a report.
What happened?
Part of the recommendation was that they should set up an electoral offences tribunal. It never came till today. It didn't happen. So that was 2011. In 2015, Jonathan set up a tribunal as well to investigate the immediate and remote causes of the violence, headed by one Lemu, I think, and then the same recommendation as well. You know, let us have an electoral offences commission, okay. And then the tribunal. That paper was dumped. Now, in that report, over 900 and something people were killed. Over 600 and something people were injured. Over 800 and something were injured. About 600 and some people were arrested.
My friend's son barely escaped with his life.
People were arrested. And after a while, there was no diligent prosecution, and then they were let go. So you see that if there is no punishment, like you said, of these electoral offenders, okay, from 1999, 2003, 2007, all the election up to 2015, Nigeria has recorded violence all through. So when will this stop? So because people have not been prosecuted, people have not been people have not been punished, jailed. Yeah. Now, even when the so-called elites, so-called politicians, recently there's a court case that says that any candidate who has been sponsored by a political party will not be held vicariously liable in any election, any form of election violence, unless he is directly linked to that violence. So what do they come to do? They come to the public and say, "Oh, I condemn this violence. I condemn that violence," and that's all. That's all. So even our judicial system, there's this lack of trust. lack of faith in the judicial system. So when that happens, we'll just keep going, in circles, because even this election, like I said, the government will not do anything because they benefit from the violence, because they benefit from the confusion, because that's what brings them to power. So we are left with the civil society groups, we are left with the media, we are left with the family, we are left with the maybe religious organization who will probably teach and educate voter, the populace, that you cannot go and give your life for violence during election, and that is not worth it.
Benson, I am just short of throwing my arms up in sheer exasperation and desperation, because it looks like there's nothing we can do. But I know that that's not true.
That's right.
Because there is a lot we can do, And the sooner we start...
allows INEC to prosecute. You know, the thing about it is that because it is now an offense, it's a criminal matter, it's something that should be prosecuted by the state. So it is state against the offenders. Now, he mentioned also the NBA, Nigerian Bar Association. Okay, let me give you an instance. I mean, the Attorney General of whether a state or a federation, there's what we call nolo prosecute. He can, by power of the state, withdraw. I mean, at his absolute discretion, withdraw any matter. And it's been happening. People have been taken to court. And then all of a sudden, the Attorney General comes and says, there's no case to answer. He withdraws the matter because these guys have political will. So how do you... So that's what I'm saying. So it's important that I think for once, my opinion is that we should let us look away from the government. We must solve this issue.
Yeah, but INEC is independent.
Yes,
by law.
But he just said that something that was very significant. There's no capacity to carry out that.
When you say no capacity, how do you mean? No personnel, no resources?
Maybe no resources.
Because the INEC has lawyers working within its confines.
But I mean, nobody has been prosecuted for any electoral.
Why is that so, Mr. Bamidele?
It still boils down to, if I benefit from a system, can I fight that system? No. The answer is no.
Education, because it's no matter how little it is, to start somewhere. I met some group of people, young people, and who were eligible to vote, and I was like, "Do you have your PVCs?" And surprisingly, none. So I started telling them the reason why they should go get their PVCs. And I think I was able to convince about 2 or 3 why they should get their PVCs. So we should start from there.
So we do that also.
One of the questions they asked me was, sorry, what was the question they asked was, after all, my vote will not count. So why would I go get my PVC? So, I started talking and trying to explain to them. And that's one of the causes, too, of electoral violence. Because people believe that, if my vote would not count, why would you want me to vote? And then when I vote and you don't, take into recognition my vote, then I go all out there to cause mayhem.
We have discussed voter education on this program several times. And the conclusion, the bottom line was that not a lot of people are interested in, educating the electorate. Not the political parties, not INEC, not the orientation agency. The government, probably INEC, will do a little bit here and there, little advert on radio or TV here and there. But they're more interested in Big Brother than what happens in their country. And then they'll complain that they have no light, they have no road, they have no water.
Indeed. Nigerians seem to spend a lot of time on all these programs. Big Brother, The Voice, Project Fame. We rush to go, I use we, because we're all Nigerians. We rush to go and watch. We rush to follow them. We love to vote. But when it comes to the electoral process, we're just that thing I talk about, apathy. It doesn't concern me.
Maybe if the voting process were made easier, maybe we would. If we could just sit in our homes and use our phones to vote.
If we're sure that the vote will count. Is that what's causing this apathy?
Well, I think, like I said, I keep saying that, I think they're not educated enough to know the benefits of, for example, I took time. It took me about 45 minutes to explain to this group of young people I met, why you should go get your PVC. So it takes time. So you need to continue talking, be on their faces, on the social media, everywhere you have the youth. So you need to, bring it to them constantly. And then who has the big muscle to do this? The government. They won't do it.
So civic studies have been reintroduced into schools. Do you think that those are going to help?
Well, I don't know what the exact curriculum is for that. But if they have political education, then that'll be fantastic, because it starts from there. Because, like you said, this generation.
Well, I think that the basic thing about civics is that you learn
your responsibility
duties to your country and your country's duties.
In fact, even some schools conduct. At primary school level, conduct elections free and fair. Like, teach them how to contest. Come out and say what your manifesto is, and then people will vote for you. Primary schools, it teach. From that young age, you learn to win or lose, and then that you is not a do or die affair.
Well, that's awareness. We're starting from somewhere.
But those, like you said, those of them who have left school and then on their own, who are working and involved in this violence, what do you do? I think that's a question. What do
So
you
what
do?
do you do? Mr. Bamidele in 10 seconds.